Dave Biddlebuck-Nuts, I know you've been through this many times in terms of players deciding whether or not to go pro or come back. You have a lot of time to decide this time. They have a lot of time to decide this time, so that makes it a little different. When would you sit down with guys like Jonathan Hankins and Bradley Roby and talk that out with them?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that yet. We're having a team meeting today at 2. There's a process in place by the National Football League that at first I was very disappointed in the process where it's very vague and I didn't like it at all. I actually talked with Roger Goodell on several times about it. One year we had 12 juniors that were making decisions to come out or not. And I mean, think about that. You're already into December, and how are you going to fill 12 voids in recruiting? And that's what happens sometimes. We had 5 or 6 leave one year. The other 5 or 6 came back. But the process is you send it in, they watch film, and they give you a grade. You can be drafted as high. I read the letters. You can be drafted as high as this round. And I'm thinking to myself, he's not going to get picked in that round. Why would you ever say that? Well, it's a couple people making that decision. And, you know, how committed are they to making, you know, if they asked me to watch a kid on USC, am I really going to sit and watch that? You know, I got other things I'm doing. So you're asking these general managers, other NFL teams to watch these film, but they have all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, give them a 2. And that's changing a kid's life. So I think they've done a better job. I'm not here to berate that because I think they do a fine job. It's a very imperfect system. So that's what's all going to take place here. To answer your question, when do I meet with them? When they ask to meet about that situation, if we're heading that direction.
Left, Rusty.
I guess the pro is that you guys won everything. You did everything you could possibly do to win every game. The con would be that
there's no con. There's no con.
There's no con. Okay, but from national observers will look and say, Ohio State didn't play in a conference championship, didn't play in the Super Bowl. What would be your argument if you?
I think the way I kind of read what I said the other day, and sometimes you get emotional and just pop off at the mouth, and I try not to do that after games. I've been known to do that, and I really believe we could play with any team in the country. That's all I can tell you. And that's an educated, that's not just some guy. 5 weeks ago, if you said, you know, tell me about your AP this and AP that, I would say, we better learn how to tackle. You know, we better learn how to leverage the ball a little bit better. I know we're playing a fullback at linebacker, but guess what? That fullback's pretty good now, playing linebacker. We're tackling very well. Our special teams, we couldn't get a punt off because there's a rotating, you know, I was putting guys in there, freshmen and everything, walk-ons and everything else in a punt formation that all of a sudden that punt team averaged netted, I think, 44 Saturday, and excellent get-off time, the whole deal. So I just would say that this team has grown to the point where it can play with anybody in the country.
Just one other quick question. How does this team change next year with who you lose?
I've been thinking about that, obviously, since that final whistle Saturday. There's some areas that the linebacker position's got to get right. That's the weakest area of our team right now. And I'm not talking about Ryan Shazier. I think he's an excellent football player. He's turned into be an excellent linebacker. He wasn't that way before. I think the Purdue game, if I remember right, is when I watched the film and said that is a big-time linebacker. Before that, he was just missing tackles, running all over the place. And I thought Coach Fickell did a really good job with kind of an out-of-control player and made him an under-control all Big Ten linebacker. Other than that, I couldn't tell you who's can play other than Sabino's gone, Storm Klein gone, and Zach Bourne's gone. So that's the area of biggest concern. We lose a right tackle, but I think there's some personnel in there. I worry about the future behind those guys, but next year I feel our offensive line could be very good. Quarterback position is going to get stronger with recruiting and with who we have in the program. I worry about corner a little bit. You know, I think we lose a very good player in Travis. Safety, I think we lose OJ. D-line, I think there's some good young players, but I worry about losing a guy like John Simon, what he means to this program. So.
Right in front, Tim.
Tim, my couple questions, Urban. Number one, when did you know you had the seniors? When did you feel January?
September 29th at 11:22.
And from then on, was it?
I'm being serious. That's when we had a meeting in a ballroom in East Lansing, very intense, very emotional meeting, and that's when I saw it. Up until then, I didn't think we had them, to be quite honest with you. They weren't playing like it, and they weren't acting like it.
And from then on, did you just see a team obviously y'all went through some injury problems and things like that, just in a nutshell, did you just see a team sort of come together and deal with everything? I mean, just talk about that.
I think Zach Bourne would be a great, not to deflect question, but I think it's a very legitimate question that only a senior could probably answer. And I think Zach is probably the guy that I saw change the most. I mean, it was, you know, he became the ultimate team guy, and he was not. Great kid, always been a great kid, always, but he was certainly not an Urban Meyer guy, and he certainly wasn't a ultimate team guy. All of a sudden, he became, I'm as close as him as I've ever been with any player, and the ultimate team guy.